The clinking of champagne flutes and the hum of laughter rolled through the grand hall like an invitation I hadn't been given. My son's engagement party was in full swing. Gold-trimmed tablecloths, towering floral arrangements, waiters in crisp black vests moving like clockwork. I hovered at the entrance, clutching the simple clutch bag I'd brought, already feeling the heavy pull of being an outsider in my own child's celebration. I spotted him across the room, my son, Benjamin, looking sharp in his tailored suit, his fiancée's hand wrapped tightly around his arm. I started toward them, hoping to at least get a smile, when the caterer intercepted me. He was a young man, polite enough, but clearly uncomfortable. "Ma'am," he said softly, "I was told to guide you to your seat." He hesitated, glancing toward Benjamin. My son didn't look at me. He looked at the caterer and said, clear enough for me to hear over the music, "She's not family, put her in the staff room." Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. The words sliced clean through the room's warmth. A couple of nearby guests heard and smirked. His fiancée's mother gave a small, satisfied smile, like this had been her idea all along. My feet felt heavy, but the caterer guided me past the laughter and clinking glasses, down a narrow hallway that smelled faintly of dish soap and stale bread. The staff room was barely more than a break closet, a round table littered with coffee mugs, an old vending machine buzzing in the corner. They'd left me a plate of cold hors d'oeuvres, the cheese already sweating under the dim fluorescent light. I sat down alone, forcing each bite past the lump in my throat, listening to the muffled echoes of the party I wasn't welcome at. I didn't cry. I didn't storm out. I sat there, memorizing every laugh I could hear, every word Benjamin had said, every person who had looked away instead of stepping in. I memorized the look of satisfaction on his future mother-in-law's face, the way the caterer avoided meeting my eyes, the faint sound of champagne corks popping. When the party ended, Benjamin didn't come to say goodbye. I left quietly, walking to my car under the glow of the parking lot lamps. By the time I turned the key in the ignition, my mind wasn't replaying the humiliation anymore. It was planning. I knew exactly what to do, and by the weekend, Benjamin, his fiancée, and every smug face in that room would understand what it felt like to be locked out. By Thursday morning, the whole neighborhood knew the engagement party had been perfect, at least according to the social media posts Benjamin's fiancée kept sprinkling online. Filtered photos of crystal glasses, gold platters, and a sea of smiling faces, none of which included me. My phone buzzed with a few pity texts from distant relatives who had heard I'd been kept somewhere else. They didn't ask why. They didn't need to. I didn't respond to anyone. Instead, I began moving pieces into place. The first step was quiet, a phone call to the property manager who handled the family home. It wasn't Benjamin's house, not really. His name wasn't on the deed. That house, the one he had grown up in and still half lived in with his fiancée, was under my control in ways he'd long forgotten. Years ago, when my husband passed, I'd refinanced, paid off debts, and made sure the property was listed in a trust, one I was the sole controller of. By Friday, I was in the kitchen of my own home, flipping through the trust documents and sipping coffee while the plan formed sharper edges. I remembered the way he'd said, "She's not family," like it was truth. Fine, I thought. If I'm not family, then neither is he when it comes to the roof over his head. The next step was more public. I accidentally ran into a few mutual acquaintances, people who had been at the party. Over coffee, I let slip a carefully crafted line. I guess Benjamin didn't realize I still hold the keys to more than just the family house. I didn't elaborate. I didn't have to. People like them thrive on speculation, and within hours, I knew the whispers would reach him. But I wasn't aiming for whispers. I wanted him to feel the kind of sharp, cold isolation I had felt sitting in that staff room, the kind that sits heavy in your chest. Saturday morning, I drove to the house. His car was in the driveway, alongside his fiancée's, the trunk still open from what looked like a late-night shopping spree. Through the front window, I could see them lounging on the couch, laughing, completely unaware. I parked down the street, walked up to the front door with my spare set of keys, and stepped inside like I owned the place because I did. Benjamin's laughter cut off mid-note when he saw me. "What are you doing here?" he asked, irritation dripping from every word. His fiancée's eyes narrowed. I didn't answer. I walked past them, straight to the main fuse box, and flipped the breaker. The house fell into silence, no hum from the fridge, no lights, just a stunned hush. "You can pack up what you need," I said finally, my voice steady. "You have until tonight." Benjamin shot to his feet. "You can't be serious!" But I was already turning away, pulling the printed notice from my bag and setting it on the coffee table. "Read the trust agreement, Benjamin, and remember what you told the caterer." His fiancée's face went pale as she picked up the papers, scanning the lines that confirmed it. The property was not theirs, had never been theirs, and I had the right to revoke their access. The day stretched out with them scrambling, making phone calls, pacing. I stayed in the kitchen, calm, sipping tea, memorizing their voices now, the edge of panic, the disbelief, the low arguments when they thought I couldn't hear. By sunset, their cars were gone, the driveway empty. The house was mine again, silent and still. And by the weekend's end, Benjamin finally knew exactly what it felt like to be told, "You're not family," and find himself locked out in the cold. By Sunday morning, the quiet in the house was almost eerie, the kind of silence that makes you notice every tick of the clock. I walked from room to room, barefoot on the cool, hardwood floors, my fingers trailing across furniture that had been mine long before Benjamin decided to treat me like an afterthought. The air was fresh. I had opened every window after they left, letting the scent of night rain sweep out the staleness they'd brought in. I sat in the dining room with my coffee, staring at the chair Benjamin's fiancée had once claimed as hers. She'd set it in front of me last year, half joking, but with that poisonous edge that let me know she meant it. I remembered the way Benjamin laughed back then, nodding like she'd said something charming. I had laughed too, but mine had been the kind of laugh you give when you're filing something away for later. That later had come. But revenge wasn't just about reclaiming a house. I wanted them to feel the same layered humiliation they'd given me. So I started the second part of my plan. Mid-morning, I made a few phone calls to relatives, old friends, even the family lawyer. My tone was casual, but every sentence was sharpened. "Oh, you didn't hear? They're staying at a motel now. Something about losing access to the house." I didn't embellish, but I didn't have to. By the time those conversations reached the third person, they'd grow fangs of their own. I wasn't petty enough to take their belongings without notice, but I was calculating enough to store them in the most inconvenient way possible. By afternoon, I'd moved their boxes and furniture into the detached garage at the far end of the property, padlocked it, and kept the only key. When Benjamin texted asking to arrange a pickup, I told him politely that I'd be available next month. His reply was a string of short, angry words I didn't bother answering. That night, I lit candles in the living room and ate dinner at the big oak table alone, the very same table they'd once gathered around for birthdays and holidays while treating me like a piece of background furniture. I took my time, savoring every bite, looking at the empty chairs like trophies. Monday brought the real satisfaction. The locks had been changed over the weekend, but now I went a step further. Security cameras at every entrance, set to send alerts to my phone. Not just for protection, but for the pleasure of knowing that if they tried to show up unannounced, I'd see their faces at the door, shut out in the daylight. The next weekend, the family gathered for a cousin's baby shower at a rented hall. I showed up early, wearing a calm smile, and took my seat right in the middle of the main table. Benjamin arrived late, scanning for a spot, and found none. The seating chart had been done days earlier, and his name was nowhere in the main room. The organizer pointed him toward the back, the same cramped, unadorned staff room where I had eaten alone just 2 weeks before. Our eyes met across the hall. I didn't smirk, didn't gloat. I just held his gaze for a moment and then turned back to my conversation, the way he had turned from me. He lasted 10 minutes before walking out. That night, as I drove home, the road seemed clearer, the air lighter. I had my house, my space, and something even better than knowledge that Benjamin finally understood exactly what it meant to be locked out. not just of a building, but of the place he once thought was his unquestioned right. The lock stayed, so did my peace, and the next time someone tried to tell me I wasn't family, I'd know exactly how to remind them who holds the keys. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.